You know what time it is? It's time to hang out with Mr. Coop. With Mr. Cooper, with Mr. Cooper, with Mr. Cooper. Get the latest scoop from Mr. Cooper, from Mr. Cooper, from Mr. Cooper. Hang with Mr. Coop, with Mr. Cooper, with Mr. Cooper, with Mr. Cooper. Get the latest scoop from Mr. Cooper, from Mr. Cooper. Yeah.
To the Big Scoop with Coop. I'm your host, Coop. Season 8 still going strong, people. And if you haven't already, make sure you go to the website, thebigscoopwithcoop.com, where you can see episodes from season 1 all the way to season 8. Big shout outs to everybody that's watching on Facebook right now, facebook.com/the Big Scoop with Coop. Also, big shout outs to everybody that's watching on Instagram, IGTV, baby. That's right, Instagram.com at Big Scoop with Coop. And big shout outs to everybody that's watching on YouTube at youtube.com. Just look for the Big Scoop with Coop. Today's guest that I have, you have seen him on ESPN. You have also seen him in the WWE ever since 1999 all the way up to now. Ladies and gentlemen, I have Jonathan Coachman. Now, once again, guys, Jonathan Coachman has done a lot of things. His nickname is Coach. Like I say, you've seen him on ESPN. You've seen him in WWE doing commentary, backstage interviews. You've seen him with The Rock. You've seen him with Stone Cold Steve Austin. So many different people. And we're going to hear from him today. So, ladies and gentlemen, let's go on to bring him on. The one and only Jonathan Coachman. All right, everybody. Welcome back to the Big Scoop with Coop. Of course, I'm your host, Coop. Season 8 is still going strong, people. Like I said before, make sure you do go check out the website, thebigscoopwithcoop.com, where you can catch episodes from season 1 all the way to season 8. And as I promised you before, like I said, you've seen him on ESPN. If you're a fan of the WWE, you've seen him on Monday Night Raw. You've seen him on SmackDown. You've seen him on the pay-per-views, backstage interviews. Yeah, Coach. You've seen him doing the commentary. You seen him do it all. Ladies and gentlemen, the one and only Jonathan Coachman. Welcome to the show.
I knew it was only a matter of time, Coop, before you tracked me down. So it's a pleasure. It's an honor. So let's get right to it.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Coach, like I was telling everybody, you've done a lot of big things in your career. Your career is nowhere close to being over. You've done a lot, but let's start from the beginning, Coach. When did you first realize that you want to get into the sports entertainment business?
Man, my entire life. When I was 7, 8 years old, I grew up in Kansas. My parents still live there. And my dad, who's not very athletically inclined, he said one day, "What do you want to be?" I said, "I want to be a professional athlete." Well, I was a really good player in a lot of sports, but there aren't too many 6'4" forwards that can't jump playing in the NBA. So I realized probably 7, 8 years old that this is what I wanted to do. I've never had a plan B. I've never had a what would I do if I wasn't doing this. I've been very blessed to have some really cool gigs. I have a lot of things right now. Always stay on it. You always got to evolve. But from the very beginning, I knew that this was a life I wanted to make. No matter what, this was it. This was it.
Wow. Now, Coach, a lot of people that's watching this younger, this kids right now, even to teenagers, even young adults, a lot of people had trouble trying to figure out, what they want to do in their career. And it's amazing. I mean, from a young age, you knew that you want to be in that sports business in some type of way. Now, the thing is, you pursued your dreams. You did what you wanted to do. You got into the WWE, back then WWF. If I'm not mistaken, correct me if I'm wrong, I want to say you jumped in probably 1999.
Yes.
Gotcha, good. Okay. Yes, I've been watching I've been a fan since 85. So that's how I keep up with it. Now, what hurdles did you go through when you first got into the WWF then as a backstage interviewer?
Well, I was pretty lucky actually, because the way I got the job, I couldn't leave Kansas City until the Chiefs were done playing, because I was a Chiefs guy. I was a Chiefs reporter. So I was going to Raw and SmackDown on Mondays and Tuesdays, but I wasn't allowed to be on TV until I was done in Kansas City. So I had about 4 or 5 months just to go see how everything was working, learn how to deal with the guys, or the boys as we called them, learn how to deal with the women. Now divas are now superstars, whatever. So I had that head start. But you got to learn how to travel. You got to learn how to perform when you're traveling. You got to learn how to handle the road, so to speak. And that means going out every single night is not conducive to performing at a very high level. But when you are 22 or 23 and the road comes calling, it can be a very nice mistress, so to speak. So I had a hard time shutting the nightlife off for the day life my first year or two, but thank God made it through, and we got serious about what we were doing.
Wow. Now, Coach, not to tell your age or anything, how old were you when you first started in WWE?
I was 23, yeah. Yeah.
Wow. Now,
Yeah.
like you said, with you switching, between the daylight time, nightlife, traveling and everything. Now, for a 23-year-old back then in the 90s, do you think it's harder for a 23-year-old now to join the WWE to do what you did?
Oh, absolutely. I think it's hard for any young person to come out and want to do. I call it entertainment. I don't say TV. I don't call it radio. I say this is entertainment because in 2020 there are so many different ways to make a living. There's so many different ways to support your content wherever you might be. But coming out now, there are so many less traditional sports jobs, and so if you aren't creative enough, if you aren't lucky enough, it can be even harder to get into a traditional sports. But you also don't have to pay your dues like you had to do back in the 80s and 90s and go to market 150, then 75, and then 30, and then top 10. If you're good enough with digital, with social media, you can be on national TV when you're 21 or 22 if you've got the talent.
Wow. Ladies and gentlemen that's watching worldwide, you better pay attention. Write down the notes from the coach. He's telling you guys there's so many different ways to get into you if you're pursuing this dream. Coach called it entertainment. Yes, that's very true. Some people still call it television industry, movie industry, whatever you want to call it. You can do it. You have social media. Coach and I, we didn't have that back then. You know what I'm saying?
Nope.
It wasn't. No, you had that dumb AOL sound, that dial-up. And, you couldn't do nothing but just search the web. Now, Coach, back then, like I said, you paid your dues. You went through your hurdles. You had to get your life situated to where it'll actually match up with the traveling with the WWE. Now, did you have any mentors to help you out during the first few years you doing backstage interview?
Well, when I first started, I traveled with Michael Cole for a year and a half, and he's the voice of SmackDown now on Fox. So he was a great mentor when I first began. And when I really was knee deep in it, when I began to wrestle and I became a character, and I had to start going to house shows, which are the Friday shows. I traveled with Hurricane and Christian, and they were two of the guys that helped train me and in the ring. But then also they helped train me on the road too. They helped make me understand that you can still go out to 3 a.m., but you better get up in the morning and go to the gym by 10 a.m. and just keep that train rolling. So if you're going to pay a hefty price, because we were called the car. So the car rolled together. We were 3 deep, not 2 deep, 3 deep, and we went everywhere together. So there were some pretty rough mornings sometimes, but I always felt like at the time it was worth it.
Wow. Big shout outs to Hurricane. I'm from North Carolina, so I got to give a big shout out.
That's right.
Yes, he's doing his thing.
That's right.
Now, Coach, you've had a lot of memorable moments during the Attitude Era. Which superstars did you enjoy working with the most back then during your backstage interviews?
Well, it's easy for me. I mean, the one right at the top is obviously The Rock. He's my guy. He's the one that taught me timing, branding, understanding how important your own personal brand is, but at the same time, understanding that you have to give to help support somebody else's brand. I mean, the very first time I was ever on WWE television was with The Rock.
Yep.
But then I really like working with Vince. We had a lot of skits that we shot together, and so that meant a lot of time around him, a lot of time understanding what makes him tick, a lot of time hearing him talk to other people, how you talk to other people. Part of the reason I'm back now is that I want to help support his legacy now that he's getting up there a little bit in years. I want to be somebody that he can trust to run the company when he's no longer running it.
Mm-hmm.
And so, as part of the reason that I came back is more than just an on-air position, but to help kind of run things behind the scenes eventually too.
Well, Coach, you came back at the right time because I'm not downing the WWE, but we missed the superstars that, helped build up to what it is today. It's good to see the legends come back, the ones that's on legends contract, part-time contract, the ones that come back as full-time. Because, Coach, when you at ESPN, and we was like, okay, the backstage announcer, even though you was doing commentary and you were doing front-end commentary, you did your GM role and everything, well, with Eric Bischoff, we will get into that later on. But, it's great to see familiar faces back. And ladies and gentlemen, if you are watching WWE, you can also catch Coach on the pre-shows. I mean, he's helping informing everybody what's going on with the other superstars that actually pop up, also with Renee Young and many more. Booker T also, big shout out to you, Book. But, Coach, like I was saying, it's good to have your face back in the WWE. And I think that you have proven yourself that you are a reliable source to come help run the WWE when that time comes. So please stick with it, Coach. Don't let it go, man. You're doing too much of a great job. Please.
Well, I appreciate that. And for the first time in the history of entertainment, WWE is mainstream. It's on Fox every single Friday night. Yes. And I feel like part of my calling is to make sure that now when a young kid comes out of college, because I fought so hard when I left WWE the first time to go to ESPN, I fought so hard to use my nickname. I fought so hard to do it my way, much like Stuart Scott did when he was having his issues in the 90s. And there were so many people there that didn't want my style. And I fought really hard because I knew it was the right thing to do. And now, all these years later, all the content we got on ESPN, and now we've turned it into that really big deal we have with Fox. I'm very proud of that because we outlasted the short-sighted executives that said this kind of entertainment doesn't belong here. Who's to say that? And we've shown them that it does. And now I want a young kid, if he's coming out of college, if he walks into an office and he says, I want to do WWE, I want to do WWE, and I want to do boxing, I want to do WWE, and I want to do football, or whatever it is, that there's not going to be an executive that can look at him and say, that's never been done before. That's never going to happen for you because that just doesn't work together. That's part of my calling. And now I've done every sport there is. I've done SportsCenter. I've done Monday Night Raw. I've done SmackDown. I've done it all. And so now any kid can walk in and say, this has been done before. And hopefully if I can help a few get a few steps ahead, that's all I'm trying to do.
And, Coach, if you really look at it, to be truthful, and you can actually backtrack the history from when you first started watching wrestling up to now. If you really think about it, you did pave the way for a lot of people to come in that walk through different realms in the sports industry. You, like I said, this is full circle for you because with Fox, you did ESPN, you did Outside Realm, and I mean, if you didn't do that, I mean, who would Fox look at? Who would Fox look at to say, hey, I don't think this is going to work? You paid
it's when I got my gig at ESPN, it was because of one person. It was because of one lady. Her name is Lori Orlando, and my story is a perfect example of if one person likes you, because a lot of the other people that made decisions at ESPN did not want me there for the simple fact that I had come from the WWE. That was it. There was no other reason. So she believed in what I was doing. And I was very proud of the fact that I'm still the only person to this day to ever be one of the voices of Monday Night Raw and also do the main SportsCenter show. So knowing that it was the right thing to do, knowing that we were paving the way so now that Charlie Caruso can do some ESPN, that we've got other people doing ESPN, I don't want to make it a novelty. I don't want to make it a, hey, man, good for you. I want to make it normal. I want to make it so if this is the right person for the right show on the right network, then that's what we're going to do. So I don't want to hear any more of that. I'm not going to keep my mouth shut on it anymore either, because this is the right thing to do. And we're doing the right things to try to get the most amount of people watching, the most amount of content. And how you do that is to cross over and put yourselves in different situations. That's what I do, and that's what we're trying to help everybody else do too.
Well, Coach, I mean, you're doing a great job at it. And once again, I'm not trying to sound like a parrot or a mockingbird, but like I said, you help pave the way. A lot of people now can cross through those doors to go from door 1 to door 2 and combine them all together. Great job doing it. Now, speaking about shows, now, Coach, a lot of people wants to know this, and I'm going to ask WrestleMania. The day of WrestleMania, before the cameras start rolling, when people watch on the WWE Network or before the WWE Network on pay-per-view, what was it like? What was the environment like backstage before the camera started rolling where everybody could see?
Well, I've been a part of. Well, I've been to 16 WrestleManias. I've been a part of 12 WrestleManias, and so every one is special in its own right. My very first one was in Anaheim. It was WrestleMania 16, and that was just an amazing experience. I'll never forget how just out of. I just felt like I was out of place. I didn't feel like I fit into this world. It's such a unique, specific world that it's hard to describe what it's like to be a main part of it. But when I became an announcer, then in-ring competitor, then a character, and I became to get, the respect from the guys for what I was willing to do, that was really, really cool. That was really, really cool. So I'm proud of all the things that I've been able to do, whether they're small or whether they're big. Try to business. It's not an easy business to make a living in. It's not an easy business to stay in. And it's not an easy business to try to help other people in either. Right. So being nice and being positive is kind of frowned on sometimes. And I've never quite gotten that.
I understand. I definitely understand. Now, Coach, backstage, it doesn't matter if it's WrestleMania, SummerSlam, Royal Rumble, Survivor Series, Raw, SmackDown, NXT. Does the boys, when I say boys, you know what I mean by that, does the boys, that's even the girls, are butterflies still in the stomach for those guys before they come out?
Well, I mean, I know that every time I walked through the curtain, I was hyped. I didn't care where I was. I didn't care how many people were out there, what the building was. If they're not doing something wrong, now I understand what a lot of people say. Well, they perform 4 days a week. They perform 20 shows a month. They're, flying to Saudi Arabia, then getting back to Boston in 24 hours to compete again. It's a brutal lifestyle. And we've never tried to call it anything but. It's not easy. Not only is it travel difficult, but then you've got to get a character that is popular enough that you can stick around and have your spot on TV. So it's a difficult process. But I would think that the superstars that are there week in and week out, day in and day out, I would think they still have the butterflies because, man, every time you go out there, you better be laser focused. You can't take 1 second off. You've got to understand where you're going, where your opponent's body is supposed to be. You've got to protect him or her. So you better be ready every single time you walk out there.
Wow. Ladies and gentlemen, just trying to get into this entertainment business. I hope you're taking notes once again from Coach. You have to be ready from day one when you step in there. I mean, I understand the training. You have to learn the job. But at the same time, when the cameras roll, you have to do it because back in the day, and I want to ask Coach about this in a minute, but I remember back in the day during the Attitude Era days, people used to fight for TV time. Now, I'm not sure how much that is now for recent, but we're going to find out from Coach in a minute. But if you're trying to get into this business, be ready. You want to make sure Vince, you want to make sure Tripp, and when I mean Tripp, Triple H, and everybody else is working backstage, notice what you're doing and say, hey, we got to get this guy or this lady on television more. Now, Coach, since I did say that, now, 2020, compared to 1999, is it the same fight that's going on trying to get television time between the superstars?
It's one of my biggest pet peeves is that I don't feel like there is that competitiveness to get, maybe not on the TV, but certainly to get onto WrestleMania. I feel like WrestleMania should be a lot shorter because I know that when I started, there was a legitimate 15 or 20 guys that you could put in that main event spot, and that would make sense. So you talk about major egos wanting that spot. You're talking about making the most money for the night, and I'm talking big time dollars for one night. So there was a lot of incentives to get to the top of WrestleMania, to get on TV. Another issue, I think, is the length of time. But these are arguments that we're not going to win. I don't make those calls. We just have to work within the parameters that we're given. Do I always agree with them? No, I don't. But Vince doesn't want a bunch of yes men around him either. To be honest with him. So there's a lot of reasons for that. You just gotta, stay focused with it all, depending on where you're going and where you're going to end up too.
I think that's one of the hardest jobs for Vince right there. Actually trying not to have a lot of yes men and yes women just saying yes, yes, yes all the time. And sometimes I believe Vince will actually throw out an idea just to see if everybody will say yes. And he knows it's not a good idea sometimes, just to test people out. Now, Vince, if you're watching, Mr. McMahon, if you're watching this, I'm just saying it right now. Yeah, I'm going to play the character. So right now, weed them yes people out. I mean, you've created so much great sports entertainment. Don't let the yes people ruin your legacy of what you've done. Now, Coach, we talked about the WWE. We'll get back to that in a minute. We're not going to drain that subject out to death. Now, when did you realize that you wanted to step away from the WWE to go to ESPN? And what factors went through your mind to actually make that decision?
Well, it was somewhere around 2005, 2006. I was really burnt out on the travel every single week. I also knew that my dream of being a sportscaster and being at ESPN, if I stayed too long in the WWE, I was going to be certainly stereotyped as that wrestling guy. So it's probably around them. And so then I was able to get hired to do some college games. And then I got moved over to the MSG network, which is the network that has the Knicks games. And then from there, again, this is all by the one lady I said, Lori Orlando. She went to ESPN as the senior VP of talent. And so she was my avenue there. But I knew probably 2 full years, because I left in 2008, I knew that I wanted to leave. I also knew that I loved everybody there like family. And I was really starting to get resentful of how much of a lack of life I had at the time. But also looking back now that I'm much older, I could have put my foot down a little bit more too. I allowed a lot of it to happen. But certainly I wanted to leave on my own terms so that I didn't burn any bridges, for one, so that I maintained all my friendships, for two, and then I was still a fan of the business. And I didn't want to lose that love of the business just because I was one of the very lucky few that get to perform, be on the performance side. So I wanted to keep all that intact, and then also have the ability to one day, if I wanted to, in kind of the role that I'm in now, and to be able to keep that going too. So me and Vince have a great relationship to this day. That will never change. I am loyal to the end, and I'll never leave him or the WWE.
Wow, that's what I'm talking about. Big shout outs once again to Mr. McMahon, Vince McMahon. You doing a lot. When you gain, and Mr. McMahon, you probably know this if you're watching, when you gain respect from the boys like this, and they still stick around for this many years, you're doing something right. Keep it up, Vince. Please keep it up. Yes. Now, what's one of your most memorable moments that you remember that you had the most fun with during the ESPN days?
During the ESPN days, well, I'm a huge golf nut, and I got to do 3 years where I did all the digital highlights at the Masters. And when I was preparing for SportsCenter one day, and one of our bosses walked up and said, "Hey, would you like to go to the Masters?" And that was a bucket list thing for me. I knew I'd be very emotional. A lot of people that don't like golf or don't appreciate golf, they can't understand what it means to somebody like myself. And then to get down there and to be around it and to smell it and to see it, to experience it. If you've never been to Augusta National, and that's really the only thing I miss about being there. I don't miss living on the East Coast. I don't miss the late hours. I miss going to the Masters. I miss that gig. That's it. But that's my number one memory from being at ESPN for sure.
Okay, now, Coach, when you speak about the Masters, like you said, there's a lot of people that don't watch golf, but there's a lot of wrestling heads that watch. Compare the Masters to a pay-per-view for WWE so they'll understand the importance.
You know what? The Masters is WrestleMania. That's what it is. The Masters is WrestleMania. Now, what's funny is all the times that I would fight with my bosses at ESPN about the fact that we should have WWE content in some form or fashion, and they're like, no, these things shouldn't come together. So finally, 3 or 4 years ago, it had to be 4 or 5 years ago. So they finally agreed to let us take SportsCenter to WrestleMania in Dallas.
Yes.
And I was going to go from Dallas straight to the Masters and do the job there. So we go down, we do SportsCenter. It's a great event. I get on the plane. I land in Atlanta. I'm going to get my car. No less than 10 people on the AirTran said, I'm coming from WrestleMania and I'm going to the Masters too. No less than 10 on the Tran. And then when I was walking around the practice on Tuesday, so many people coming up asking for a picture or an autograph. And they said, hey, I just came from WrestleMania too. And so that was the day I was like, wait a second. Our mindset is right. We're doing the right things. We've got to keep fighting and keep fighting and keep fighting, because there's a lot of people that are the same, that love wrestling but love real sports just as much. Right. It's okay to love both. And so I realized that it's okay to love both. It's not a crime. I know a lot of people want to think it's a crime. It's not a crime to like both.
No, it's not. It's just like the people that likes to watch action movies, but they like a little drama at the same time. That's probably a horrible comparison, but at the same time, it's two different genres, but it entertains in both ways. So I definitely get it.
That's right.
Now, Coach, I got to ask. XFL back in, oh my gosh, I'm going to say the wrong year. Was it 2001?
You only need one guess. You only need one guess because there's only 1 year. So, yes, it was 2001, yes.
All right, to XFL 2020, what is the big difference now? Where did Vince say, aha, that's where I messed up at last time. This is it right here.
There's a few things, but the number one thing is don't make Vince the face of the league, first of all, which we haven't done. Also, have really good football. You've got to have better football. If people aren't going to watch it if the football's terrible. The football's been really, really good. Put an emphasis on the quarterbacks. Pay them enough money where they want to come and play in this league for a full season. A lot of the rule changes. We asked over 6,000 fans a 100-question questionnaire, and they wanted a more exciting kickoff. They wanted more penalties if you kick a punt into the end zone. So they get at the 35 now instead of the 20. All of these rules that we're implementing, I think you're going to see a lot of them taken into the fall for the NFL. So we also got a lot of the right football people. Oliver Luck, who is Andrew Luck's father, is the commissioner. You don't get better than that. You've got Bob Stoops coaching, and he's the GM in Dallas. You got a lot of great football names around the league, and you got football players' names that you've heard of before as well. So those are really the big differences.
Okay. One question for you also, Coach. I know you're a busy person. I can't hold you up much longer. But
I just got a stiff neck. That's all.
I understand. No problem. Now, Coach, did you get a chance to watch NBA All-Star Game and All-Star Weekend?
I was actually flying during the All-Star Game, and I got to see the last 8 minutes, which was the most important part. So yeah, I watched the whole game. Sure, yeah.
Now, I'm glad you said that part, because that's what I was getting to. Why, in your opinion, and I understand you have the All-Star Game and you have regular season and playoffs. In your opinion, why do you think they go hard in the fourth quarter and they play real easy quarter 1, 2, and 3 versus a regular game in regular season?
Well, on a normal we just lost Kobe Bryant All-Star Game weekend. This is the only All-Star game that takes place, well, NHL too, but basically of the three major sports in the middle of the season is what it is. But you don't see football you don't really see the MLS, I guess. I'm not really sure. But they don't want to get hurt. If you get hurt playing in the All-Star game, then you miss the money time, which in the NBA everybody knows is the playoffs. So but they played super hard, and I loved how they changed it to they were racing to one number. Yes. Make no mistake about it, they played hard for Kobe. I live out here in California, and I know what he's his loss has done to this area and also to the nation. And those boys said, you know what, screw it. We're going to play hard, because this is what Kobe would have done. He would have come in and he played hard every All-Star game. He didn't understand what not playing hard was. So that's what it was all about this year. And hopefully they learned something from this year and they continue to play hard, moving forward.
Now, I'm not gonna lie. I think fourth quarter was game time. That was All-Star game time. It really surprised me. I like the way they actually raced to a number at the end instead of the time limit. Yep. So that's what I liked. It reminded me, WWE fans that don't watch basketball, it's almost like the Iron Man match that you saw, WrestleMania 12 and all these other with Kurt Angle and all them. That's in Iron Man matches. That's what the fourth quarter was like. They raced to a number, and we got there. That was it. Now, first, I want to say this also, Coach, and I said on my show before, RIP to Kobe Bryant. Everybody in California that's watching right now, your prayers are with me. You guys, I know it's going to be hard for you to get over this because this is a tragic loss for everybody. Coach, I'm praying for the whole city over there and the whole state for all of you guys. So I do want to throw that out there. Now, Coach, yes, is there any other projects that you're working on right now that you'd like to let your fans and supporters know about?
We're always busy. Right now, we're, XFL every single weekend. We're in New York, so we're flying coast to coast, and we've got, of course, WWE pay-per-views. Our next one coming up is Elimination Chamber in Philadelphia, a week from Sunday. And then I'll be back doing my PGA Tour events starting in May. And I'm also going to be announcing this month that I'm going to be a brand new ambassador with a major golf league. So that's going to be a lot of fun to do. So we're going to be announcing that in the next couple of weeks. So we're really busy. We got a lot of projects going on. We just try to keep it positive and help as many people as we can along the way, and also always have fun along the way too. So that's what we're doing.
Nice. Can we catch you at the pre-show of Elimination Chamber?
Every single time. That's my job. To get everybody ready. So I love doing it, and of course I'll be there. Sure.
All right. Everybody, make sure you do stay tuned to the Elimination Chamber. Watch the pre-show. If you're trying to catch the rundown of what's going to happen at the Elimination Chamber or hearing the thoughts of everybody that's in commentary during that, make sure you tune in. You will see Coach there. I believe you will see Renee Young. More than likely, you'll see Book there, Booker T, and some more surprise guests to pop up out there. Now, Coach, what's the best way for everybody all your fans and supporters to follow you on social media?
My name's the same throughout. It's @thecoachrules on Instagram and on Twitter. We're going to be starting our daily videos next week, the 1st of March. We'll be doing our Coach 'em Up Live show once a week on Wednesday evenings. We hit topics, kind of like this, wrestling, whatever the big topics of the week are, because it helps me practice talking if I have a long time in between projects, but also it helps me connect and answer some questions that maybe people want answered. So we do that all over our social media all the time.
Everybody, make sure you go follow Coach on social media. Check him out on Instagram. Check him out all over social media. You don't want to miss these episodes. You don't want to miss the videos. You will hear some great things coming through. You never know what Coach is going to say. You never know what's going to come out of his mouth. So make sure you do check out all these videos. Now, Coach, what advice would you give any male or female that wants to get into the sports entertainment section, or they want to become a sports journalist? Or you've got to be backstage interviewing, commentary, or even performer or character. What advice would you give them?
You have to be willing to go anywhere, do anything. Make sure that you put yourself out there more than you've ever done it before. It's the most unique business, I think, in the country. It's not something you can fake. Where you went to school doesn't matter. Personal relationships do matter. So I would just say be open to any and all opportunities. I never thought I'd have a career in the WWE, and now that's going to be the place that I end up spending the most amount of time in my adult life. You just never know. You also never know what you're going to enjoy. And I just want kids also to understand what it takes to write your stuff, what it takes to be on TV, what it takes to have the interpersonal communication skills that you need to earn a living in this business. but you're not going to earn a lot of money overnight. So understand that, and then make as many connections and try to give as much of your time as you can. And that's what I try to do. I try to do as much as I can with the time that I got.
Ladies and gentlemen, I hope you paid attention to this episode. Coach has dropped a lot of jewels in this episode. So if you're trying to get into the entertainment industry, you know what to do. If you're trying to get into sports entertainment, mainly if you're trying to get into WWE, he's told you what you need to do. Make sure you follow these steps. Put your all into it. If you go halfway, you'll get half a success. So make sure you take it all the way to the end. Now, Coach, this is the last segment right here. This is called Take the Floor. Now, Coach, I will give you up to 2 minutes to say whatever you want to say. I don't care if you want to thank your supporters, thank your fans, whatever's on your mind. No questions asked. Coach, take the floor.
Well, thank you. It's an honor to have the floor here with you, Coop. And I think over the course of the last year, if I've learned anything, it's to take the time to make a connection, to take the time to make a new friend or just see what other people are up to. Over the course of the last year, my father had a heart transplant. We've lost Kobe. We've had a lot of things in between. And I think we realized that, at least for me, that you just never know how much time you're going to have. And so I'm trying to be better about giving up my time and of the expertise that I have in the position that I am in life. So I also want people to think I'm a nice guy. So we're trying to put all those things together, but also to help people understand that in this business, what we do, it can be fantastic. It can be incredibly rewarding for however length of time you are blessed to do it. Just give it everything you have fun. If you're not having fun, then go do something else. But don't sit around and complain about it, because I don't have time for people to complain. I just have time for people to get after it, because that's what I do. So that's it. Thanks for letting me have the floor.
Nice. Coach, thank you very much for coming on the show. I would love for you to be back on in the future.
You let me know. I'm here.
Yes, sir. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you once again for watching the Big Scoop with Coop. Stay tuned. You will actually know who the next guest coming on soon. So make sure, once again, you go to the website, thebigscoopwithcoop.com. Big shout out to everybody once again that's watching this on Facebook. And if you're watching on YouTube or facebook.com/The Big Scoop with Coop. If you're watching it on YouTube, big shout outs to you guys at the Big Scoop with Coop, and also on Instagram at Big Scoop with Coop. All right, guys, until next time, I'll see you next episode.